Rolling number 23. Good morning. So, yeah, the 27 Club. Are you guys familiar with the 27 Club? 27 Club is musicians and actors that all died at 27. And there's this famous club, and there's many of them. Isn't it weird? You know what I mean? We're like, I'm going to rattle off some here. Let's see. Let's see if I can remember. You got Janice Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix. Robert Johnson was 27. I sold my soul to the devil, Robert Johnson. He was 27. And what's her name? Amy Winehouse is part of 27 too. Isn't that crazy? Like, what does that mean? Why 27? Especially if let's just talk about musicians. And dying at 27 is that live fast, die young situation. Is it a extreme tour blues, extreme blues from the high of rocking out and doing drugs and being on the high, and then when you're down, you're extremely down? But how some of these folks died, like they all died differently, and it's all hearsay what we think how they died. What's the most famous, I guess? There's a lot of famous ones, right? Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain. The Kurt Cobain one is an interesting one because there's a lot of speculation on that one. But I don't think he killed himself, to be honest with you. I really don't. And one of the reasons why is he blew his head off with a shotgun. If anyone's ever pulled a trigger to a shotgun and how long that barrel is, and to flick that trigger backwards with your finger while it's in your mouth, it's very, very difficult. Not to mention, was Kurt Cobain this gun-toting rock star? No, he was a pacifist. He was a sissy. He's not walking around with a gun. You know what I mean? What was he, Ted Nugent? No, he's Kurt Cobain, man. I don't think he blew his head off. I don't. And there's a lot of everyone's seen those documentaries, Soaked in Bleach and all that, and I even think I don't think Courtney Love did it. I think she's too easy of a target. There's all this speculation, but I got my conspiracy theories on that. But the 27 Club is crazy. Like, what? It's interesting to think about it, because if I'm a grown man now, I'm 40, right? So I'm far past 27, and 27 seems young. Whoa. And you go, well, they lived a full life of being a rock star. And you go, well, they've experienced some cool shit. That's a fact. But living a full life, I don't know. I don't think they've actually experienced all that life has to offer. They definitely get to do traveling. But I think when you're traveling as a rock star, or even in a rock and roll band, you have one goal: get to the show, get to the show, put on your best performance, sell as many songs and records as you can. That's the goal. There's no other goal. Well, getting pussy, getting drugs, whatever. But that's a light goal. That's a plus to the tour. So for those of you that don't understand, there's a thing called tour blues that musicians get. And I get it, and I don't do as much touring as I should, but because when you're on tour, let's just say a minimum tour of 30 days. Let's say you're on tour for 1 month, and you play every night. You have one goal, and that's to get to the show, sound check, and play the show. So you don't worry about. Now, there's a lot to worry about, of course. You want to do well, you want to make money, you want to sell merch, but you all in the band, for the most part, management, drivers, whatever, you have collective goal to put on the best performance possible, and that's it. Hopefully you get laid after the show, whatever. good after party. And that's it. You're really not worrying about you do, but I know you do, but I'm just saying for the most part, you got bills at home, you got car payments, you got registration, you got AAA, you got insurance, you got your family's health, you got your pet's health, you got your girlfriend's health, you got everybody that you're dealing with. On tour, for the most part, you're worrying about the performance, and that's it. So what tour blues is when you get home, and if you have a day job, you get home and you're back to normal life, staring at the wall. If you work in a cubicle, you're in this cubicle and you're staring at the wall. And the night before, you just rocked Arizona or something, right? Now, I've been that guy, definitely. I've done a show where I annihilate a room, okay? Annihilate a club, drinking, partying, having a good time. Everybody loves you. You got to wake up the next day at 7 a.m. and go sit in a cubicle. And what that does, that's called tour blues. You're back to reality. So you're almost not even in reality. So now, let's say me, I kill a club. It's not a lot. You don't have to take a lot to fill the room. But imagine if you're filling stadiums on a nightly basis for 8 months out of the year. Now that's a fact. That's a nirvana. That's all these big guys, right? And normal life is so fucking boring that you get the tour blues because you get back and now you got shit to handle. Some people don't know how to handle it. Those are my theories on Linkin Park guy, Chester Bennington, and Soundgarden, Chris Cornell. They supposedly killed themselves. Those of you that are tight with me know how I feel. Especially with kids, it's weird that you killed yourself. If you got kids, I don't understand killing yourself. I don't. I just really don't. But that's, again, I'm saying I just don't understand. For a few reasons. One, you want to leave your kids behind. Two, you want your kids to find you that way and remember you like that. I would imagine a father wants their kids to remember them in a high form, in being a warrior and a killer and someone who supports the family, But you never know. Depression's depression. Drug withdrawals, what have you. It definitely plays a toll in all that. Plays a role in all that. Excuse me. But it's I'm trying, and I understand 100% because I am one that gets tour blues. I get it because I love being on the road. I love playing rock and roll, and even when the shows are bad, which everyone gets them, everyone will get some bad shows. Even when the shows are bad, sometimes they're good. Like, I don't mind, I'll use comedians' terms. I don't mind bombing. I just don't think I've done it enough. But when I'm killing, it's awesome. And it feels good. It's a high in its own. Killing is a high in its own. And you don't need a drug for that. Now, it's when the high peels off is where I think people need to be on drugs. I think that's it. And I sympathize. I know a lot of people don't understand how these rock stars get all fucked up on drugs. And we're just going to talk about rock stars. It's a blanket situation. Actors, I could give you the high of being an actor. I mean, that's an even bigger high. And I'll tell you, and I've gotten a little of that in my world also. Especially if you're treated well on set. If you're on set, you got the trailer, you're treated well, you got one goal is to learn these lines and portray this character the best at your ability. and you got all cameras on you in your scenes, and you're in this character, especially if you're playing a character that's far from yourself. You get to live in this world, and you don't have to live in reality. And I think that's what's happening, is not living in reality. I also believe that's why people love getting married, because it's all about them. They are living in this fantasy world for this one day. For this one day, they're in this fantasy world. And then that high wears off, and now you're married, and you're back to normal life. And I think that's how divorce sets in. Not all the time. Some people are better at reality than others. But I have a feeling that the 27 is so weird, because it happens to be an age where everyone dies off. Why is this? There's a lot of conspiracy. We can think the quote unquote Illuminati. I don't even like that word Illuminati, really, but the the elites or whatever, people can say that that's where they get killed off, because they start becoming useless once they hit 30. Or there's a reality that they're about to be over the hill, because there's a stigma on being over the hill once you hit 30, which I don't believe exists anymore. I think that's way over in many ways. As actors, entertainers, I think people respect older talent these days. I think also people like how older people look these days. When I say older, you got a few wrinkles on you. I think people like it. I know I do. Not on myself, but I'm saying women. I like women with a few laugh lines. A little bit of crow's feet. I like it. Shows that you've lived a life of some sort and you enjoy life. You smile. You have emotion. I like it. But I think that there's something to that, though. I think there's something to 27. Reality starts to set in. Now, if you start going like Janice Joplin, right? How did Janice Joplin die? You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, I don't know how she died. Mama Cass had the ham sandwich. Let's see. How did Janice Joplin die? Let's see. I just asked my phone. Let's see. How did Janice Joplin found dead? On this day, 1970, she died of accidental heroin overdose. Well, here goes my conspiracy, guys. I truly don't believe that there's as many overdoses as they claim. I don't. Now, I can claim that they've been poisoned by somebody else. Maybe they poisoned themselves by getting a bad shot. But I truly believe if they're doing the drug that they think they're doing, I don't believe they're overdosing. Most of the time. I'm sure, I know it happens, of course. But I think most of the time, I think they're doing a drug that they don't know they're doing. Or it's been cut with some bullshit. And I think they're giving themselves a hot shot. A hot shot could mean a few things. They're shooting air bubbles into their veins, or there's a little bit of poison in that hot shot, which a lot of guys have been killed from. I'm not going to reveal too much, but I know that happens in a world of quote unquote offing somebody, giving a hot shot. I personally have never done this to anyone, nor will I. But I know it has been done, and I know folks that have done it in the whole gang world, we'll say. In the mob world, too. I've read about it many times and things like that. So it's a thing. Hot shots, getting poisoned. I'm calling it get poisoned. I don't think you overdose. Everyone just goes, you overdosed. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. You overdosed on medication or prescription medication. I'm going to say no. Joker, what's his face? Heath Ledger. He was found face down, prescription pills overdose. I don't believe you. I don't believe it. Think he was murdered. Yep, poisoned, whatever. But who knows? It's all sticky situations. So it's weird. But still, 27, that's my theory. That's my theory. I think its reality starts to set in for these guys. You start to find you don't really have real friends. You start finding you don't have real loved ones. And it's hard when you reach a level of fame. Now I have not reached that, so I don't understand. But I do feel that there's a level of fame where you have no friends, no family. I think that happens at some point, and you don't know who's being genuine and who's just glomming onto you. Because what does happen? You ever seen the scene in The Sopranos? I love that show, The Sopranos, where Tony's wife tells him that people just kiss his ass and laugh at whatever he says just because he's the boss. He's Tony Soprano. And then he's sitting there at the table with all his underbosses and all his guys, and he says something stupid, and they all just crack up laughing. Ah, ha, ha, ha. They're just dying laughing. And it slows it down, and he starts to look at them, just all these people that he starts to go, I don't really think they love me. I think they're just kissing ass. It's all bullshit. They'll pop me at any point just so they can move up the ladder. And I think that's true with I've heard Steve Martin say that. If you read Steve Martin's book, he says that it started to not get fun because he wouldn't even finish a joke. He'd just walk on stage, people start laughing because people are kiss asses, and I've seen it too. I've been at the Improv here in Hollywood, and Dave Chappelle just shows up. And he sits down, people are laughing. He just says, hey, how y'all doing? People are laughing. People are so excited. They get excited to see a celebrity. Their eyes become saucers. They're just, in Family Guy, they have that character that just laughs at everything, and he claps his hands like a seal, like a trained seal. And people do that, And I've experienced a little bit of that in my life of people kissing your ass a little bit too much, and they're laughing at every fucking thing you say, and then I can slow it down. I go, what I said wasn't that funny. I know y'all just kissing ass. Also, there's the laughers that just want to have a good time, and I ain't mad at that. I love that. I think I may be guilty of that too, which is okay. Fuck it. God forbid you want to have a good time. God forbid you find things pleasurable and joyful in life. But I think there's a little bit of that. And I think when you become a star so early in life, at 27, never mind just becoming a star, you are the biggest star. You've changed the face of music like a Kurt Cobain. I think that could become a problem. I don't really believe he was suicidal. I don't. I'm sure if Kurt Cobain was still alive, he'd be suicidal now to see what happened to music, but I don't think he was suicidal. I really don't. Now, having that girlfriend of his, that wife of his, Courtney Love, well, that'll make you suicidal. That'll make you crazy. That's for sure. Paparazzi, that'll make you nuts. People up your ass, watching every move you make, that'll make you crazy. That's for sure. But I don't think he was suicidal. But being in the 27 club, that's an interesting club. What does that mean? And it even makes me think of something different, because what's funny is I just as I hit record, I put it up on my phone so I can look at the 27 club list. There's a lot on that list I've never heard of. But the fact that I didn't know Robert Johnson, who is up there, was supposed to be one of the greatest rock and roll guitar players and one of the originals. He's the reason why they say they sold their soul to Satan. Because they believe Robert Johnson disappeared, went to the crossroads, and somehow came back and became this virtuoso guitar player who can play minor and major licks at the same time, who can play treble and bass at the same time, but he also had super long fingers, and he can do a lot of things that people still cannot do on that guitar throughout the neck, especially back then. Back then, where things weren't as easy to come by as far as guitars and strings and things like that, and tuners and whatnot, in order to play certain things. So they believe he sold his soul to the devil to become that man, because that's all he wanted to do, was be a guitar entertainer. To play his songs in clubs and be able to make a living at it. And he was definitely a drunk and a womanizer, which is another word I dislike, womanizer. He liked pussy. It's okay. But he probably lied to a lot of women, so I guess that's where it comes from. So he was part of the 27 Club. So the fact that he was part of the 27 Club almost kind of can start putting you in this theory of selling your soul to the devil. Like, what does that mean? Let's really think about it. I don't know if I believe in that, but let's really think about it. Some of these people have just become famous so fast, so quick. Yes, they're talented. Yes, they are. But how did that happen? How did that happen so fast? And those of you that have talked to me about this before know where I'm going with this. I'm not even going to go so crazy in it. But isn't it interesting that immediately after Kurt Cobain died, Dave Grohl all of a sudden became a front man for one of the biggest bands ever, the Foo Fighters, so fast, so quick. And he just lost another guy in his band. Now, I'm not saying he murdered anybody. I'm not saying he's part of the Illuminati. I'm not saying he sold his soul to the devil, although I think he's playing in a movie. In fact, didn't he play the devil in a Jack Black's movie, the Pick of Destiny? He played the devil. Whoa, man. Woo, let's start getting into that. Now, I like Dave Grohl. He is a talented motherfucker. I never really got into Foo Fighters that much, but I do like Dave Grohl as a musician. He's talented as fuck and can do whatever he wants. And he seems like a great guy. But, man, my conspiracy brain just really starts to go that way, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Because it just seems too easy to blame it on Courtney Love, because she just can't have an interview without looking guilty. And of course, she's admittedly on the heroin, on the drugs. She's twitchy and skitchy and scratches her face all the time. I do like Hole. I like her band Hole, though. So, it's an interesting thought, man. The 27 Club. It blows my mind a little bit just to think about, because it's so early now that I'm an older man, because I thought what's interesting is I was kind of that live fast, die young mentality in my younger years. Me and my friends even used to put up predictions on my mirror in my room. I had this mirror in my room, and we'd put up a prediction when I was going to die. We thought it was going to be at 18, got past 18. Then we were like, nah, Ian won't make it till 21. And when you say live fast, you always think about drugs. I never touched the stuff. I was not for drugs. I did like my alcohol. That is a fact. I'm definitely not an alcoholic. But I liked to push the boundaries of getting in trouble, fighting, guns, whatnot. I think I like to push those boundaries. So we made kind of a funny bet and wrote up a year I would die up on my mirror. And it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. It was kind of funny. But it was a thing. And I do even have a tattoo on my arm with a gargoyle that's waving his finger above my tombstone that says "not yet," which was kind of the joke. But I kind of believed it. I got to be honest with you. I kind of believed I would die early. Now, I didn't. So maybe sometimes you go, shit, what do I do with my life now? I think there was a little bit of that in my life too, where I go, shit, what do I do? I'm still alive. And I also have loved ones, and I have people that I love and don't want to leave. So that's an interesting move. And that's why I don't think I understand when people kill them, quote unquote, kill themselves when they have children and loved ones behind. You know, I don't understand. And that's just me. That's just me. I don't understand. I don't understand leaving my loved ones behind. That may be why I still live here in fucking California. I have so many loved ones here. I have so many friends that I love here. So much family that I love here. So I'm still fucking here paying these giant taxes, giant gas prices, and crazy rent. This is the second of the month, so I just paid rent, so I'm also pissed off about that. I hate paying rent. Hate it. It's so expensive here, guys. So, but yeah, I think that's why I don't understand. I don't believe some of these guys killed themselves. I definitely don't believe Kurt Cobain killed himself. I don't think it. I really don't think so. Is it a conspiracy thing? Did he overdose? Nah, maybe. But I don't think he blew his head off. I really don't. I don't think that guy carrying around shotguns, you know? I don't believe it. Too much of a pacifist. So it's weird, man. But isn't it interesting? I could go on and on and on about the 27 Club and what I believe happened to all these people. Hendrix, you know, Jim Morrison. I definitely can believe that Jim Morrison definitely went off into the ether and did drugs until he died, because I believe Jim Morrison definitely felt reality was boring. I believe that 100%. That's why he was definitely looking for psychedelics. And I can understand. I sympathize. Sometimes reality is boring as fuck, man. And I definitely believe when people are like, dude, I'm bored. Well, then there's plenty to do. There's plenty to learn. But I get it, though. I get it. Because there's all these things I want to do and all these things I want to learn. And I definitely believe when you hit a certain age, sometimes it's hard to just sit down and learn the piano. You go, well, look, I'm not even the greatest guitar player. I'm not even the greatest bass player. Maybe I should focus on that more than the piano. But, there's all these things. So it's weird to be like, oh, bored. There's all these things to learn. But I definitely believe a lot of these rock stars are bored with reality, and that's how they end up in the 27 Club. And they end up dying early anyways. All the rock stars that are dying early, like STP, Scott Weiland. I really believe he was bored with reality. And that's what causes drug use, is being bored with reality. So it's like, I'm glad I don't have that addiction to drugs and alcohol and things like that. I'm really glad. But, there's everyone has obsessions with things and addictions to things, to something. But a lot of people's food. That's a major killer, is food. I got friends that are literally killing themselves with food. Diabetes. Yep. That's a thing. That's with food, guys. Food and cigarettes. Things that are so legal. And of course, food's be legal because that's what's hard to give up, because you need it to live. But you need food, guys, not fake food, not sodas and bullshit. But it's the 27 Club. I can go on and I can go for hours on it. I can call some friends in. We'll just talk about what the fuck that means. But I definitely love to hear what you guys think about the conspiracy about the 27 Club, man. What are the odds that just seems to be the age where you call it quits, and by accident? say it is an overdose, an accidental overdose. It just happened to be at 27. Woo! Interesting. Very interesting, guys. All right, well, think about that. I love you. I'm out. Cheers.